Hey everybody, today's recipe is lemon pepper steak with cold spaghetti. This is essentially a leftovers recipe. I'm making some of it from scratch to show you how. So ideally you'd have some cold spaghetti left over that you cooked up before. I'm just going to cook a pack for you. It's a 1 pound pack. I've got some leftover steak. I had bought one of those big packs, you know, and I just cooked up all of it so I could make this recipe for you. Okay, so I got like 2-3 pieces here. If you have any other kind of beef, like pot roast or whatever, you can use that. Okay, now for seasoning, you definitely need some ground black pepper. I'm going to use the juice of 2 lemons, right? And for other seasonings, I've got some dehydrated minced onion here. You can use fresh if you want. And I've got some fresh shallots because it adds a nice little flavor to it. Okay, and I've also got some that gray sea salt and some oil. I got corn oil. If you got peanut or anything, you can just use that. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is get the spaghetti cooking, and while I start chopping up the rest. So juice the lemons there. And after they're juiced, I got this neat little sieve that I use to pick the seeds out. Couple of passes with this, it just cleans it right up. So the lemon juice is strained. Next thing I'll want to do is start to get the onion rehydrating. So I just get about a spoon of this. Okay, just drop that in the lemon juice. Just like about a half a spoon of the salt, because you don't want this too salty. This is to taste, of course. Put that in. Now this is, you're really going to hit it with the pepper, okay? That's why it's lemon pepper steak. Now I start with about this much to really cover the surface of it, and then after, once it's all mixing up, what you can do is you can add more to get it visually mixed up. Okay. So now I'll chop a couple of shallots up. Now I'm sure everybody's got their own technique for chopping shallots. Okay, honestly, you know, these things used to be so expensive. People would spend hours peeling these because they didn't want to lose an outside layer and all that. Personally, I'd rather spend the extra 14 cents and not spend my whole day on this, alright? So if you've got to, just, you know, lose a layer and put in another one. Okay, well I got those peeled and I only lost a little bit. That's not too bad. So I just give them a quick chop across that way and just rough chop this way. This is going to be marinating for quite a while in the fridge. It's around 2:15 in the afternoon, and we just had daylight savings time, so my body still doesn't know what time it is. So I'm getting this all ready now for supper later on. I don't know, probably around 6 or 7 or something. Okay. Okay, for those of you that don't do this too often or weren't really paying attention to the order, what's important is you always chop your vegetables first, and you do your meat and or seafood or fish or whatever last, alright? Okay, so these ones, now that it's cold, it's quite easy to see. And I just zoomed in on here. Okay, so that's like the gristle. Okay, this is a lean steak, and that's why you need a few pieces for this, alright? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up all the gristle on the ends. Okay, a little bit of fat left over for seasoning is fine. You just don't want this too fatty, okay, or it won't taste good. For this type of thing, you know, you don't want too marble to cut. Leaner is actually better for this. Okay, now this, yeah, there's a vein running through there, and there's a little bit more on the side here, so I'll take that off first. Yeah, and I'll just leave that. Okay, so now I got my first one trimmed. Now what you want to do And yes, I did sharpen my knife first for this, and I'm going to be real careful. Okay, what you do is you shave off as thin slices as you can manage. Okay? Now, since this is a cold salad that's going to be going into the refrigerator, all right, to marinate for a few hours, it is important that you undercook this because it will continue to absorb some liquid in the fridge, all right? So the package directions on this are what? It says 7 minutes, cooked al dente 6. Every type you're going to get is going to be different. Okay, so I'll just follow the al dente instructions. And if you're not used to making spaghetti, don't put the lid back on, alright? That's a sure way to get this stuff to boil over. And you'll just be cleaning up a big mess for a while, okay? So, the steak is all chopped. And my alarm for the spaghetti just went off. I set my phone for this. Okay. So that's good timing. See? So even with all the gristle and everything taken off, those 2.5 pieces of steak turned into all this, which is going to be more than enough for the dish. Alright, and I'll just turn that, and you can see that's just boiling away like crazy. Okay, so I'm going to take that off and drain it. Yeah, I want to get this in the fridge pretty quick to maximize the marinating time. So I just cool this off as fast as I can. So the next step is to get the dish going. Now you can take a look here. That you see that the onion has soaked up quite a bit of the lemon juice, right? Which is good. So get a big Ziploc. I use the freezer bag type. They're the strongest ones and the seal doesn't come apart in the fridge, which trust me, the last thing you want it to happen. So we've got about that much onion and seasoning in the bottom, alright? Just grab some oil. And you're just going to eyeball this until it's about double. Okay? Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay? Okay. So I got my space cleaned up here a little. Now I'll just get some tongs. And yeah, there's a really nice piece, okay? That's how thin you want this, alright? So seal that up. Yeah, you can leave some air in it at this point. Okay, so I leave some air in the bag so I can mix it up, okay? And get a good look at the steak with the seasonings. Now, this is where you want to eyeball the pepper. This is about how much I put, okay? Because the pepper flavor will definitely get stronger as time goes on. And you want it peppery, but you don't want it so overpowering that you can't eat it. So I find a good speckle like this. Or you can always just pull a piece of steak out and taste it and see what you like. Alright? So I'll just leave that there. Okay? And I'll see how the noodles are doing. So the noodles are nice and cold. And since I'm doing this as a dinner dish and I want a really nice presentation, what I'm going to do is I am not going to cut the spaghetti, alright? If you want shorter noodles, I advise you to break it right at the beginning. You could always chop it now. But what I do to get it really well mixed is I just pick up a little bit, like you see me kind of playing with it, and drop it in the bag, alright? If you do this first, it will not all stick together. And there's the last bit. It's all gone. So now, you do want to kind of push down on this a bit. Make sure that your zipper here is clean. You haven't got any food or anything, so there's no surprises when you start shaking it up. Okay. Okay, so after you've had it mixing around in the bag a bit, get a nice serving bowl and turn it out and just work it through with the tongs until the meat is evenly distributed through the spaghetti there. And this is a good time where you can check your seasonings, give it a taste, make sure that it's got enough oil in it. That looks just fine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this and pop it back in the bag and put it in the fridge for around 3 or 4 hours. And then supper's just ready to go. Alright, so there you have it. That's my lemon pepper steak with cold spaghetti. And I hope you liked my movie, and I hope to see you again.